This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the Daily FX Forum.
So here are the four pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, and the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during the past several reports, I've been mentioning this area right here, about the 88.40 area, as potential support. I also mentioned during the last report that I wanted to give this at least another 24 to 48 hours to see this line hold. It has held. I just don't like this trade right now. With prices came down here to a low of 88.50. So if prices do come down here, there are better trade opportunities that I'm going to speak about on the next few pairs. I still have a bullish bias against this line at 88.40. The trade here might be an entry at 88.50, maybe with a 25 pip stop, but that would only be for aggressive traders who prefer trading the Euro Pound. And if that's the case, then that would be the trade. But again, there are better trade opportunities. Speaking of which, the Aussie Kiwi, as I mentioned during the last report, entry at 24.60 with a stop at 23.90. That was a 70 pip stop, and we can see that line pretty much has held for now. So if you did enter at 24.60, the only thing I would change now is just move up that stop to 24.10. So that's long 24.60 with a stop at 24.10. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and not much has changed here. I really just don't see anything on this pair right now, so I'm just going to stay on the sidelines. The next chart is the Euro Swiss. If you recall, during the last report, I mentioned a short trade, entry short at 49.90 with a stop at 150.40, and this is the 5-minute chart. This is actually the time at which I issued that trade, and we can see prices did come up to about 49.80. What's the price here? 49.96. So there's a good chance that you did enter that trade if you were listening to that report. So right now, it's too bad I didn't have a report. I would have mentioned to take profits near that 149 area, but since I did not, right now I would say to leave that limit order in there, maybe about the 49.10 area in there, which coincides with this low right here. So that would be a limit order at 49.10 and keep the same stop at 150.40. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and if you recall, during the past several reports, I actually missed this double bottom by about 20 pips. I was also saying that I would like to see fib retracements down to possibly the 61.8, but I also said favorable candlestick patterns at any of the major fib levels. So right now, prices did come down, penetrated that 61.8 by just a few pips, but again, I did not issue any report or trade recommendation on this trade right here. So right now, I'm just assuming you're flat. I do like the way this looks in terms of a double bottom, and this could be a 1-2, which is what I was looking for, and we see that this move was very impulsive off that touch of the 61.8, which is common. So if this is the start of a third wave, I'd like to get in, and again, this would be for more aggressive traders. This is an aggressive play right now, but I would look to enter maybe right now at about the 62.75 area with a 50 pip stop at 62.25. So again, that's long 62.75 with a stop at 62.25. And again, this is for aggressive traders, and be prepared for prices to reverse immediately and for you to get stopped out. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the Daily FX Forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the Daily FX Forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner, I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as Daily FX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things you know, with the right mind in terms of, you know, I might be missing stuff that other traders can see. And that's, you know, my personal way of using the forum. You know, every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, you know, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on, you know, how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, you know, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there, you'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, you know, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should, you know, double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would, you know, suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.